Alrighty, guys, we're back for Creature Only Red Deck Wins, and this is a Foundation Standard Brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked. So how many creatures are packed in? 38 creatures and 22 land, 2 of them being Mishra's Foundry, so more creatures? Yeah, kinda, sorta. The best creature in here, guys, Screaming Nemesis, making the cut as a 4 of for a very good reason. Also here on the top end, Imodane's Recruiter. We can't actually cast the adventure side, so I hope you guys give me a pass that it reads Sorcery Adventure over there, right? Not looking at that side at all, can't cast it. So Imodane's Recruiter, just the creature side. 3 mana, 2/2, when it enters. Creatures you control, of course, get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. And honestly, we should go wide pretty easy in here because we have cards like Searslicer Goblin. Pretty good raid ability at the beginning of your end step. If you attack this turn, you create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That is not half bad. What other creatures do we got packed in? We got 4 Viashino Pyromancer. It's going to be relatively important to be able to poke the opponent's face without swinging in sometimes. So when it enters, 2 damage to target player or planeswalker too, so that could help you clean up something like a Liliana that just went -2 or something. It really does come in handy, guys. We have a Feldon packed in. This is a good way to see a little bit more off the top sometimes when the opponent does end up blocking it or something, but realistically, it's just not a card the opponent wants to block at all. 3 Cunning Coyotes is a 2 mana 2/2 with haste. It has plot for 1 and a red. When it enters, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Should really come in handy because yeah, we have hasty creatures and hasty things, but a lot of the cards actually don't have haste, like Pyromancer and Searslicer Goblin, for example, or Rotisserie Elemental, all 4 of them packed in. 1 mana 1/1 with Menace. Menace really comes in handy. Now, when this deals combat damage to a player, you put a skewer counter on Rotisserie Elemental. Then you may sacrifice it. If you do, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of skewer counters on Rotisserie Elemental. You may play those cards this turn. So even if you're just sacrificing this to see 2 off the top, that could really come in handy because you could duplicate an elemental, see 2 1-drops off the top. Well, that's what I mean by duplicating it, right? You're turning 1 elemental into 2 creatures, or if you got lucky, you might actually get 3 or more skewer counters on this too. At that point, it's definitely worth seeing things off the top, especially when we have this many 1-drops packed in. All 4 Phoenix Chick making the cut, and when this goes to the grave, it's not going to be unheard of at all to bring it back for that double red ability, which is pretty darn good. Hired Claw making the cut as a 4 of, another way to poke damage to the opponent's face, which is going to be significant, especially since Viashino is also a lizard too, so cool. We have 3 Frenzied Goblins. No removal, no burn packed in means the opponents are going to have blockers sometimes, so maybe we can take those blockers out of the equation when we actually attack with Frenzied Goblin. And then we have 3 Frantic Scapegoats too. Like I said, Menace is going to really come in handy, and Scapegoat comes in Suspected, and then it has the ability to pass that Suspected ability to other creatures that you play too. So a Suspected creature has Menace, and unfortunately it can't block, but really, do we care? I mean, we can ask Feldon if we care. I don't think Feldon cares to block though. All right, honorable mentions, guys. Kellen, Planar Trailblazer, could have been a really cool 1-drop in here. Definitely something to keep our eye on. And some top ends, just not making the cut. Defiler of Instinct. If there was ever a deck list, bro, where this belonged in, it's this deck list. But the sad truth about our 4-drops, right, is we're going to play our 4-drop. The opponent's going to drop instant speed spot removal. And realistically, what we would have much rather done for the turn is actually play multiple things, multiple 1-drops or something. So it makes me sad, but it did not make the cut this time. And then Sunspine Lynx also could have been pretty darn good. At the very least, something that this does that the Defiler doesn't is actually does something when it enters. But who knows how much damage it would actually do when it enters. Really depends on the deck lists that you're seeing the most. All right, guys, I do my D&Ds to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take this into some ranked, see how we do. Okay, right into that first game. What am I expecting from the build? I think it's gonna be terrific. Although, as far as mono red goes, this is definitely gonna be on the jankier side, right? Oh, that's a lot of mana. 22 land packed in. Okay, I'm going to keep it. Opponent goes first, unfortunately, but I think usually this is a mulligan, but for the sake of testing the deck list. Okay, opponent drops a forest and a Pop Patch Recruit. Ooh, Rotisserie Elemental is a great turn 1. Hired Claw is also a pretty great turn 1, though, but I think we get this down. I think Frantic Scapegoat into Hired Claw next turn and then actually suspect the Hired Claw to give this Menace. I think that makes a lot of sense to me, but we could also wait, suspect the Pyromancer, so that way that's another lizard that could swing in with the Menace. Okay, Innkeeper right after a Pop Hatch Recruit is terrible news for us, guys. Hopefully we can do the thing. All right, pretty good draws. Not just pretty good draws, these are really good draws for the last couple turns here. Okay. We're going to go for Frantic Scapegoat. And the opponent's tapped out. I'm just going to play the Hired Claw now, guys. And we are going to decline. Get our menacing creatures through. Get that skewer counter. You want to go ahead and decline for the first turn. There's going to be plenty of moments where it's just not worth it for just one counter. But then plenty of other moments where it's probably worth it for 2 counters. Probably not next turn, though, because we have just a terrific hand. Ozolith right after the fact, guys. Oh dear. Down to 12. Could we die next turn if they pull something fancy off? I think there's a real possibility that that could happen. Pyromancer. So it's got to be Nemesis, keep a blocker. But then what if they just pop it? Maybe Nemesis swing, keep a blocker after the fact. They have Trample, though. Crap. I don't exactly know what I want to do here. We could see more off the top. I think Nemesis is going to be a blocker. And I hope that's not too weird for this deck list. If the opponent, first of all, we decline. If the opponent had, like, a white source on the board, I wouldn't try this. Decline. Yeah, if they were Selesnya, I wouldn't try this. But since they're green, they might have to do damage to the Nemesis to slip through. Or, oh, here's the problem with Trample, though, guys. I wasn't thinking about this ruling at all. Trample will only deal the 3 necessary for the Nemesis. So we're actually not doing 9 here. Because of the Trample, we're just doing 3. That's not good news, guys. But at least we still get the 3 through from the Nemesis, and we got a pretty decent block. But now we're just in a lot of danger in general. We probably die next turn regardless, then. We could try to find more off the Elemental after a swing. We do have Phoenix Check power up Foundry, but it's the same amount of damage as just going Pyromancer as well. We could go Phoenix Check, swing for 4. 5 gets through thanks to Hired Claw. Pop the Rotisserie Elemental. See the top 3. Maybe find a couple things that can block. Hired Claw could also... No, I think... one second, opponent. I apologize, buddy. I'm thinking... The creatures we see off the top could be enough. We could also have multiple blockers. We don't have to swing with the Scapegoat. This is going to go up to 10. We need 4 power on the board. No, we need 5. Yeah, we need 5 toughness, I mean to say, on this board. So at that point, we're going to use our timeout. We're going to go Phoenix Check. We're going to Scapegoat ability onto the Phoenix Check because it can't block anyways, right? Then we're going to swing with our Rotisserie Elemental and our Phoenix Check. So we have 2 chump blockers on the ground. That's brutal. That's really brutal. So we get 2 through. And then we're going to try to find bigger toughness creatures off the Rotisserie Elemental. It's going to be a Pyromancer. Wow, another Nemesis. Wow. That's good. That's really good. Imodane's Recruiter would have been excellent too. Now, we can only play these this turn, guys, so it's definitely Nemesis, period. Now we have 6 toughness on the board, so they need to boost the recruit an extra 2. If I calculated everything right, which I had to take the whole turn to time out. Oh, Ozolith. Oh, another talent. Wow. Oh, we're super dead then anyways. That's brutal stuff, huh? Yeah, all right. Well, full block. And then the opponent still gets 9 through. Hey, good game. Love the deck list. Really cool. Oh, man. So would there have been a better way to push that damage through earlier? I don't think so. The opponent really blitzed that recruit. It got very chunky very fast. Even normal versions of mono red that have burn, that could have been sticky for normal mono red, right? Because they boosted that top patch recruit so fast above normal burn spells. Yeah. I don't know. So like maybe there was a way to be a bit more aggressive. Maybe we should have kept that Screaming Nemesis for the swing. We would have had a couple swings. We found an, well, yeah, instead of blocking, right? We would have had a couple swings. It would have just been an extra 3 damage though. You guys let me know. Did you see a better way through there? It's very possible. All right, we go first. A great hand. It was really good. I might skip the Cunning Coyote plot. Let's see what we draw first. Oh. Well, I'd probably plot the Coyote based on that then. Searslicer Goblin, that's good. Yeah, we'll plot the Coyote based on mono black. See what we can get done here. Filigree Silex, huh? Actually, not mono black. So 3rd mana. We go probably Searslicer Goblin. It's a little awkward, but we want to go wide before playing Recruit for sure. Then give it haste with the Cunning Coyote. It's a cool turn, bro. It's a really cool turn. All right, down to 15. Generate a 1/1. Next turn is looking pretty darn good too, especially if we see a 1-drop, like a hasty 1-drop off the top. No, any 1-drop. Recruiter gives haste to all of them. 3rd mana. Cunning Coyote. So unfortunately, guys, Filigree Silex destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of oil counters on the Filigree Silex, and they got 3 mana open too. If we just drop all of our 2 mana cards, we're gonna lose all of them to the Silex next turn. We'll just have a couple goblins remaining. However, that being said, it's an extra 5, 6, 7 damage in hand. See where they end up removing. Still a couple goblins with a hasty recruiter next turn could be fine enough. Or we could plot up the Cunning Coyote too. Well, let's see what lands first. Nowhere to run. Searslicer Goblin then, right? No Coyote. So maybe another cut down available in hand. Why the Coyote there, do you guys suppose? Alright, stick to the plan, I guess. Especially since they just took out one of the 2 mana cards. So Silex just got a little weaker. Keeping the Searslicer Goblin around could have been the nail in the coffin, actually, for the opponent, since, one, they don't know we have Recruiter in hand. But it's still, that could be it. Yeah, we knew the Silex was coming. Oh, back up to 7. They're in this. Oh, Pyromancer's great. But do we just swing for 5 and then try the 2 next turn? Hopefully they don't find life gain. It's still not cut down number 2. It's good news. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain why they didn't take the Searslicer Goblin over the Coyote. Maybe they read the Coyote wrong and thought we were about to get haste. All right, let's go, guys. No life gain from the opponent. More mana is terrible. Let's get that Pyromancer down and end this game. Just a never-ending onslaught of creatures. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I expect from the rest of the matches for the evening, too. We'll see what we can pull off. See, that's a lot of removal, but when you just dumping creatures onto the board. And that was a really good board wipe from the opponent too. The oily cards, man. It's always so shocking that we don't see more of them. The one that I see the most, I would say, is actually Urbrass Forge. What about you guys? I think we see Forge the most. All right, let's keep the ball rolling, see what we can get done. And what I want to see again is, it's kind of interesting. Rotisserie Elemental doesn't have a huge target on his back. I mean, it's just a 1/1 menace. And the opponent's looking at it like, okay, I can take the 1. And it's like very slowly acquiring those skewer counters until you get like 3. Once you get 3, it's like so worth the pop. Right, yeah, another Rotisserie Elemental. Like, I really want to try that out again. We're keeping this. It's actually a terrific hand, too. We'll see what we can pull off here. Of course, mana off the top would be great, but we don't need it for a couple turns. It is going to be mana off the top, and we just don't mind it. Okay, we can start with the swing. Skewer counter decline, Pyromancer. It's nice playing with these creatures that we just never get to see, too. I can't remember the last time I played with Rotisserie Elemental. We played with it a few times in the past, but... Okay, do they go for the swing, or do they decide, like, okay, to keep a blocker for the menace? Yeah, that makes sense. Dream Thief into Elemental isn't great. We've been seeing this deck list a lot in the recent weeks, guys. This is the Raise the Past deck list. They love to block. They don't mind at all. Unless it's going to, like, exile, which, of course, it's not, but... Another Elemental... My apologies, opponent. I think we go wide here. Double block there. They don't know what's in hand. They definitely block. They definitely do. Let's go for Scapegoat. And we'll plug the Menace onto the Pyromancer if the Scapegoat survives. They block Elemental, we get 3 through. Or we could wait to boost the board state next turn, which I don't think we do. They don't know what's in hand, guys. They don't know that we're being silly. Oh, they just blocked the 2/1. Elemental sticking around is great news. We're going to decline. Because I think we can do a little better next turn. And we are actually going to suspect the Pyromancer. Bring him down to 12 here. Okay, Scapegoat can block again, but now we have Menace on the 2/1 Pyromancer, which is pretty cool. Now, mana off the top would mean Elemental Recruiter, and that is a deadly amount of damage. We don't see mana off the top. We'll see what we can pull off with the Rotisserie Elemental. One thing I know for sure, though, this deck list has no shortage of creatures. You know what? The opponent's block last turn makes a lot of sense, since they don't know what's in this deck list. If it was like a Monstrous Rage or something, that would have been brutal on the Elemental, right? Yeah, they don't know that we don't have it, though. All right. Elemental, we go for it. Whatever they played really doesn't affect the turn, especially since we saw the mana there. We'll swing. Math is for blockers turn, period. There's absolutely no way we hold back. Block into recruit. They might... Okay, this is good damage, guys. And we're keeping all of our menacing creatures on the board. It's only until this turn, so we just declined both of these. I'm scared. Let's see how many of those they bring back this turn. Yeah, against this deck list, I can imagine we're not favored at all. Essence Channeler, they didn't have a Dewdrop here. Oh man, it's terrible though. Wait a minute. Do they know that this is all Menace? Do I know that it's not lethal damage? We're going to decline on this one. And then take action on this one. 4 off the top, guys. Oh! Holy cow! Well, that couldn't have been any worse. Well, Mishra's Foundry's fine. And I guess Phoenix Chick. And I guess next turn, we won't see as much mana. Crap, dude, that could have been much better. Pretty much any creatures. Like, we wanted to kind of swarm the board state there. Oh, raise the past. Ah, I'm scared. They're gonna gain 3 here. Channeler, both channelers getting boosted beautifully. They got their air blockers now too. This is brutal stuff. Are we gonna find a way to push through? 3 with the Menace, Mishra's Foundry. The Menace, oh, there we go. Oh my goodness. See, that's more Pyromancers is kind of what we were looking for on the Elemental, but it still dug us deep enough in the deck to get there. So, play the mana, power up Foundry, full swing. They don't have lifelink on this board, luckily, right? See what they end up doing with the menacing creatures. Because since the menacing creatures need to be double blocked, we're going to slip 1 damage through somewhere. On either the Phoenix Chick or the Elemental, it looks like. With double block, and then they have the block in the air with the Phoenix Chick. And then we get 1 through on the Elemental. Which, you know what? What we can end up doing... Okay, it doesn't really matter where the damage plugs. Thank goodness they didn't have lifelink, huh? Yeah, we take this action, see what we find on this too, but we have Pyromancer in hand. Hired Claw, Recruiter, Screaming Nemesis, yeah. Nemesis could have been great this game, huh? GG opponent. That could have gone either way, and I'm pretty sure we're not favored. Because any deck list that knows how to plug creatures onto the board just as fast as us, except they can reanimate them, yeah, dude, I don't think we're usually favored here. Oh, and then also, not only that, they know how to gain life too in this deck list, so... Interesting? I don't know, man. There was a moment there where I was like, oh, all my menacing creatures, we're just going to swing. We win this turn, but no, we did not win that turn. That shows you how much I really was just going math is for blockers, but realistically, that's what this deck list does anyways. We're just swinging. I don't know how often we actually calculate it out at all. So I guess there are going to be some turns where you want to keep creatures back in preparation for a wide boost with Recruiter, right? Okay, without the second mana, this is not keepable. This is not the type of deck list that can operate on 1 mana, I would say. We mulligan. Other than that, love the hand. Right? Good. We send a mountain, 22 land. It'd be weird to send anything else, right? Let's see what Elemental gets up to. If that was a swamp, I'd say it gets up to a cut down, but it wasn't a swamp, luckily. Okay, Azorus colors. Oh, Gremlin Tamer. Oh, cool. Okay, so Nemesis is probably going to come in handy for when it comes time for the Sheltered by Ghosts. Feldon's pretty good for the turn. Let's do that. Very likely pushing 3 through here total. Down to 17. And decline. So far, how do you guys feel about Elemental, man? I like this. It's cool. Does it belong in the deck list without any instants and sorceries? I think that it's probably going to get a big boost to power in a deck list that actually does have a Monstrous Rage or something. However, in this deck list, we need ways to see more off the top, period, and Elemental is that way, so it still makes sense to be in here, but it's kind of sort of like, are we seeing its true power without being able to boost this? I'm not 100% certain. All right. I doubt they double block Elemental. If they do, we take out Hall Creeper, which is probably pretty good. the Nemesis for the turn, but Nemesis could get picked up by the Sheltered by Ghost, but I can't imagine not playing Nemesis here, you know? But we do have a pretty good hand. We could have went like Elemental number 2 Coyote, give the Elemental haste. Yeah, now that if it is a Sheltered by Ghost turn, they pick up Screaming Nemesis, then we do have that issue of how are we going to stop that lifelink? Maybe I should have kept Nemesis in hand, guys, until after they played the Sheltered by Ghosts. But at that point, they might not have it in hand. So, and even if they do play Sheltered by Ghost now, they don't have a whole lot of other ways on the board to boost how much life they're actually gaining. So there's still a chance where we push enough through anyways. This could have been a bad play, though. I will say that much. We'll see what ends up happening. Maybe we'll get punished. Maybe we won't. They swing with Tamer and Hall Creeper. They say, we're not blocking with these anyways, so let's get these going. They get card draw on Hall Creeper. Do they find their third? Might be what they were looking for on the swing. Inquisitive Glimmer. Do they find their third? They don't find their third. Another Screaming Nemesis. Well, there's our answer, huh? That's good. It's really good. So, right. Now they got a great double block into the Elemental, but just the second Nemesis is brutal. Do we just do that, right? Everything else in hand can wait, I'm pretty sure. Especially since they missed the Sheltered by Ghost last turn. And again, we just full swing, regardless of where they end up blocking. It's just, we just go. And maybe we wouldn't if... There's a chance we wouldn't if we had Recruiter in hand. They do go for the double block. But would we have saved the Elemental back? See, it's just a 1-1 for a 1-1 then at that point. They go down to 5. Feldon. Let's see what we see on the top. Scapegoat and Coyote. We get to play this until next turn. So if we find another land off the top, Coyote's pretty good. Still have a Coyote in hand, though. I think it's Coyote. Anyways. That means land off the top is really good for us. And even if we don't see land, we just play the exiled Coyote before the Coyote in hand. Makes sense to me, dude. What you got for me, opponent? They do find their third mana this time round. It doesn't really matter that much because Glimmer makes all of their enchantments cost less too. So Sheltered by Ghost would only cost 1. Then they're generating gremlins as well. We're in danger. Oh, buddy, are we ever. They could keep going. They could boost that Hall Creeper. Like an ethereal armor or something would probably be a nail in the coffin, bro. That's gotta be it, right? That's gotta be game. Wait. Nemesis can be... No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, Hall Creeper can't be blocked, guys. So they can go 2+1 counters. Yeah. It is mana off the top. Wow, that is pretty good, isn't it? But I think we lost this one. So we can go Cunning Coyote, and we can boost... Yeah, I guess we boost these wide. But, so the second Coyote goes into the first Coyote, right? I think so. So guys, could I have played this out a little bit better with these Screaming Nemesis? Or saving back the Elemental? See, it really wouldn't have helped since they're going so wide with the Gremlin Tamer anyways. Frenzied Goblin early on could have helped a lot. If we had the Frenzied Goblin down earlier, I don't know exactly what our mana would have looked like, but there would have been a chance of taking one Gremlin out of the equation to still push the Rotisserie Elemental through, right? So at this point, too, they could just take the 9. We're completely tapped out. They are going to actually opt for the blocks, though, which still makes a lot of sense here. They can take 4 from the Nemesis. and it doesn't really matter too much. They got lethal on the board, and Hall Creeper was going to gain them life well out of proportion of what we're able to deal with anyways. They do flash in a 1 mana Feather of Flight thanks to the Glimmer being on the board. Pretty good stuff. Good game, opponent. Yeah, Hall Creeper not being able to be blocked is one thing, but even if they put it onto a creature that could have been blocked, they still had the 1 mana Feather of Flight anyways. So I think no matter how we look at that game, I think that was going to lean towards the opponent based on what we saw, but you never know because it could have come down to me not seeing more off the top with Elemental or something too. Had we seen more off the top, would we have found a way? Probably not, I would say. And then Screaming Nemesis too, if I would have held back a couple turns, I think a lot of that game came down to, is the opponent going to miss the Sheltered by Ghosts? I think the answer is usually no. I think they'll usually just have it. It's going to always be a 4 of in those style of deck lists. And their main piece of removal too. So it's usually going to be there and ready. So playing around it, maybe the turn 3, if I would have went wide instead of going for the first Nemesis, because no matter what, they were not going to block that Nemesis. They knew that the lifelink was going to help carry them through. That's a tough decision, man. There's a lot to talk about in that game. Oh, another hand with only 1 mana. I don't think it's worth it, guys. The opponent goes first, too. Oh. That's not good. We can't go down to 5, right? Maybe Rotisserie Elemental can help us? We can't go down to 5. I don't think so, because if we go down to 5 and we miss, like, the Rotisserie Elemental, we're going to really struggle to see extra off the top. So let's keep it. Drop our 3-drop. We have 4 1-mana cards in hand, guys. Another reason to actually not drop it. And really good chance of seeing mana, guys. It's not like we're playing an 18-land deck list. This is a 22-land deck list, so we'll see, won't we? Oh, man. Opponent actually grabs a mountain with the Fabled Passage. Hopefully, Rotisserie Elemental survives the turn. Could easily get burnt away. Mana off the top would be just so significant, guys. Getting 2 of these 1-drops down. Oh, High Noon. Well, I guess it's only going to be 1 1-drop anyways. Hired Claw, then, I would say, is worthwhile. Swing with Elemental. Yeah, High Noon's bad news. Decline. Yeah, because once we start seeing mana, of course, we want to dump our hand onto the board. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how to play around the High Noon. We'll see. Our 1 card should probably be Hired Claw, which is brutal. Oh, no. Oh, no. That High Noon's going to slow us down so much, but maybe it'll help us play around a board wipe or something. Not on my watch. Okay. Decline, because we can't play anything else this turn anyways. Another Fabled Passage is probably pretty great for the opponent. 3 Fabled Passage. They got 4 mana on the board. They thinned their deck list 3 times over with these Fabled Passages. Overlord. Wow. Screaming Nemesis is great news, but we don't have the 3rd mana just yet for it. They got great blocks. They don't know what's in our hand. Frenzied Goblin isn't attacking this turn. It's probably a Pyromancer. Yeah, they got great blocks, don't they? All right. We just go for it. We're in a lot of danger, even if we hold back here. There's a chance. Okay. They can't do that. Menace on the Elemental. Menace is like the most overlooked keyword of all time. So we'll save the Hired Claw then, since they didn't double block the Hired Claw. Decline. I think Elemental has 1 more turn, and that 1 more turn might be the whole turn, as we look for a 3rd mana, play it, and then maybe see a 3 mana card off the Elemental as well. And I hope that's okay, because High Noon, Overlord, that means this is a board wipe style build as well. A couple more 2-1s. Going wide is pretty significant versus this deck list. We do find our third. Now's the time to get Nemesis down. A double block there. If they want to do double block there, they're just going to take the 3 here regardless. We're going to save the Rotisserie Elemental because I want to see more off the top next turn. So I'm trying to learn from my past mistakes from when I swung with. So Elemental probably could have cheesed one through. They do just double block Hired Claw. At the same time, they could have easily just not have done that and went for the Elemental as well. So tough decision for sure. High Noon might honestly be one of the worst case scenario cards for a deck list like this, man. That is super brutal. Swing, they take 3 from the Nemesis, double block the Elemental maybe. We only hit 1 of their 2-1s at that point. Searslicer Goblin comes down, helps us go wide, which is pretty significant. Overlord going to power up at the end of their next turn. I feel like going wide right now would be so good. All right. We let them double block the Elemental this turn. I guess, right? Oh, 2 into the Nemesis. Oh, dude. Okay. Yeah, no, they decide for the Elemental. We still get the 3 through. Get 1 more insect off the board. I hope that's okay, man. But yeah, if they would have let the Elemental go through, then we would have seen 3 off the top this turn. Looked for our 4th mana. That doesn't really matter too much, I guess. Mana doesn't matter for the rest of the game since we can't play Sunfall. Dude, opponent, that's so brutal. Oh, Nemesis. That's really good. Swing, swing, swing. They take the 3. Oh. Holy cow, dude. We might have won. They can't gain life. We have Pyromancer in hand. Holy cow. I don't know what the opponent could do here, but I'm kind of on the edge of my seat now. They don't got blue. They can't counter the Pyromancer, right? I knew number 2. They swing. This is why it's like so important to actually have creatures that can get around the opponent's extra chump blockers too. I can't believe they blocked there, guys. Down to 1 is like so risky versus mono red, especially since they don't know if we have burn in here. Of course we know, but they don't. I don't know what they could do against Pyromancer. I really don't. Get lost. That doesn't help. And then what? Can you guys think of something for Boros colors that they possibly could have done? Because I can't think of anything. Woo! I'm glad. I'm glad. We got the deck win rate back up to a 60%. I am satisfied, but I am going to push it 1 more game. Win or lose, it's fine. I think we showcased the deck list well enough, and there's not like a whole lot to actually showcase here. Play creature, swing with creature, and that's it. And sometimes you have to build up a little bit of patience for certain games, and other games you just got to go, go, go. Yeah, win or lose, I'm satisfied. The games have been relatively fast too, so I don't think we'll realistically be pushing it overtime here. A couple Rotisserie Elementals. That's something. I got relatively greedy in the last game with the Elemental, but them having High Noon, I don't think it even mattered. Great first hand. Or great hand. Great starting hand. There we go. I don't know why I said first. Okay. Your Hired Claw versus my Rotisserie Elemental. Who wins? They're checking out the Elemental. I'd love to keep this around because turn 2 Searslicer Goblin, of course, would be ideal. Nice. All right, let's take the 4 total here. Down to 16. Oh, another Searslicer. Wow. That's great. That's really good. We can get Foundry. The opponent's tapped out. Say hello to my main phase 1 Searslicer Goblin. All right, decline. It is always good practice to wait till the very last moment for things, but Sometimes when the opponent's tapped out, I just like slamming things on the board. Yeah, Recruiter's still pretty good next turn. Nemesis is equally as good. Searslicer number 2 and the Rotisserie Elemental setting up for next turn is also pretty good. Oh, Nemesis. We're probably going to have to go our Nemesis. But the question is, they went first, guys. The question is, do we keep Nemesis as a blocker? Might be a mistake. Excuse me, guys. We take 6 down to 9. We could die next turn easily, dude. Easily. Here's Slicer number 2 helping us go wide. We could chump. We're going to take it for the turn. See what we can pull off next turn. I think we're in danger. This also feels like one where if we went first, I think there was a really good chance of pulling this off. Setting up with Elemental and Searslicer Goblin, then trying to win the game next turn with Recruiter just seems like really good. But also, Nemesis could be a blocker too. Because against Mono Red, if they find Burn, then we can just burn away one of their other essential creatures too. I say we risk it, man. I say we risk it big time. Swing for 4, down to 15. Then we have the Raid. Decline. Then we have the Raid on both Searslicer Goblins. And setting up with the other Rotisserie Elemental. So we have emergency chump blockers, but chump blocking against Mono Red doesn't work very well because of Monstrous Rage. So let's see. See what you got, opponent. I think it was worthwhile trying this setup, because now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 creatures. Imodane's Recruiter, giving a buff to all 7. Oh, they have an emergency blocker now anyways. Manifold Mouse, boost the Challenger. Let's see what they see off the Challenger they could miss. They do miss for the turn. They still got 1. Double Strike on the Challenger is still worth the attempted chump, because a Monstrous Rage is all it takes. Down to 8. Oh, we're going to die no matter what. Monstrous Rage on the Challenger is 10 damage because of the Double Strike. 3, 4. Crap. So if we go block with both Goblins, it's 8 getting through on the Challenger, then another 4 getting through. It's 12 getting through. Oh, that's if they have the Monstrous Rage, but guys, they probably have the Monstrous Rage, right? So if we block with all 4 creatures, it would still be 8 getting through. Am I mathing that correctly? So at that point, we risk them not having it. Opponent, I'm on the edge of my seat. Ah! You know what else it could be? Well, wait. I'm just, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything. We're just going to let the opponent play it out. Dude. Oh, guys. Are we okay? Holy cow, down to 4. Another 1 drop off the top would be pretty good too, huh? Oh, they could get another chump blocker down. Rotisserie Elementals have their Menace. Searslicer Goblin, wow. Alright guys, we go for the victory. It's too bad they have a chump blocker right now and we had to get rid of one. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another 6, that's 14 plus the Recruiter. Then they block the Recruiter with the Manifold Mouse or have spot removal in hand. Guys, do we have to keep blockers back to survive the turn? I apologize, opponent. I'm thinking, buddy. Look at all this math we have to do. Somebody else do this math for me real quick. So first of all, we could keep Screaming Nemesis as a blocker. No matter what, though, their Nemesis is probably going to clean up the game, right? So we could chump. They go Double Strike on Challenger. What's the odds that they find what they need next turn? They could boost the mouse, too. All right, we just do the fun thing. We do the fun thing, dude. Let's just swing. Math is for blockers' turn again. We'll see if they got that burn in hand. And at that point, it is what it is. We're going to sacrifice the tapped elementals to try to find another 1-drop too to help us block. Oh, their block with the Manifold Mouse should definitely be into the Searslicer Goblin. That way we don't get extra goblins as blockers too. 2 mana open. It could also be Lightning Strike to our face. Then their Nemesis gets there anyway. See, like, there's so much, guys. There's so much that could go on here. Yep, into one of the goblins. Then they need some burn. No, they don't need burn. It's only 14 getting through, which I believe they're counting right now. So what we could see on the elementals, I don't know. I don't know, man. This one's a lot to think about here. Because if we didn't try this and we just went Nemesis or something, yeah, I think they just want to hit burn to face, though. Like, they're looking at the other card, but yeah, only 14 getting through, so that's great news because now their Nemesis, there's a chance. So there's the 4. Then there's no point in keeping these back because of we want to see a 1-drop to be able to try to block, but it doesn't matter. We get 1 blocker on the Goblin. If we see mana, did we play our 4th already this turn? I don't know what turn we're on. I'm pretty sure we already played our mana, though. There's a 1-drop. All right. And we obviously play the one that can actually block, too. Yeah, I think this is our 4th turn, so I think we already played the mana. So we do have Chump Chump, and they probably just have another Burst Lightning in hand since they went Burst Lightning that turn onto the Recruiter. Oh, guys. They wanted to go somewhere anyways because they didn't know it was left in our hand, too. That's very true. Hired Claw. That'll do it. Wait a minute. There's a Hired Claw here. Guys, the Hired Claw was going to do the 4th. Okay. I don't know, man. It's like I was barely looking at this board state, huh? Good game, opponent. That was pretty good. Anyone's game for sure. Had we gone first, pretty good chance, I would say. Yeah. I'd say if we went first, I think we would have had a pretty good chance. And also, maybe there was something I could have done a little bit better. There's their Monstrous Rage. Opponent, did you have that last turn, but you felt bad? No, probably not. They probably saw it. They probably saw that. Actually, what did they see on the Challenger? Was that the Hired Claw? I think that was the Hired Claw. I don't know, man. That last game, I was like barely paying attention, apparently. Yeah, I'm relatively satisfied. We're obviously, once again, being a little silly with our deck building here. Only creatures, 38 creatures, 22 lands, and 2 of the lands also power up into creatures too. We're being a little silly. We don't have to be this silly. We could obviously play some other cards, like our own Monstrous Rage would actually really come in handy, and at that point, you're probably going to add some other burn in. Now you're looking like generic red deck wins anyways, so why would you go this route anyways, right? You might as well just go generic red deck wins, play the other great cards, Monastery Swiftspear, the other prowess creatures. You might as well slam some mice in there too, but then what's the point? Like, you completely lose the soul of this deck list, which is actually just really neat, man. And overall, I would say it's not even that janky, right? Like, it kind of did the thing pretty well overall, and there's a large possibility that in those losses, I could have played things out much better. This was a tough one. Usually, when I play mono red, I'm very comfortable and ready to go. I feel good. This one was a little bit tricky for me. Is it like the concept of just not having any of that extra burn in here or anything like that kind of messed with my head a little bit, and I think that probably showcased in those games too. Yeah, just creatures. It feels a little strange, man. When we played the when we played the 0 creatures Boros list, that one was really easy. It's just everything to face. Who the heck cares what the opponent's doing? Sometimes you'd burn away an important lifelink creature or something, but other than that, everything to face. Really easy deck list to play. This one's a little different. And there's moments where, when is it worthwhile holding back, and which creatures are we holding back, right? And like, which creatures are the opponent's going to block because there's complexities with our menacing creatures? Are they actually going to go 2 creatures into an elemental? Or are they just going to block the Pyromancer, let the elemental through again? And if the elemental does go through, are we about to pop it to see the top 2? Or do we keep it around and try to be as greedy as possible with the elemental? A lot of times you probably keep it around if you have Recruiter in hand or something too. So weird. Very weird. Cool, though, I would say. Put it on the do not craft list. As far as mono red goes, there's going to be much better versions of mono red, guys. And again, we're being a bit silly, but I'll tell you what, you got all the cards already. Give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. And let me know if it's as difficult as I'm saying to play, right? Or let me know if you have an equal amount of issues. Some things, of course, right? Like we could drop down to 3 recruiters probably quite successfully. At that point, we're looking to go up a card that works with the meta that you're currently seeing. So I don't know what that would look like right now, but for example, if we were just running into non-stop board wipes, okay, which happens sometimes, then I would consider dropping the recruiter and going up like the 3rd Mishra's Foundry or something. If you're going up against non-stop board wipes, there's a possibility where you are slamming face for the first 4 turns, then opponent drops the board wipe, and all you got to do is power up a Foundry and then boost it with another Foundry. Get the swing, win the game that way. Or you do that, you swing with Foundry, and then next turn you have Pyromancer in hand to play to clean up the board that way. Or you guys know what I mean? Like, it really depends. That being said, I'm not saying the 3rd Mishra's Foundry is worth it. I'm just saying I would consider dropping to 3 recruiters and going up 1 card that works well for the meta you're seeing, and I'm not really sure what that card would be right now. I could see a couple Feldons, though. Could totally see that. Cunning Coyote as a 3 of. I liked this. This is cool. Scapegoat. I like this as well. Frenzied Goblin, would have loved to see that do a bit more today. Hired Claw and Pyromancer are pretty darn good. 4 of each of those make way too much sense. Yeah, since we don't have any other burn hitting the opponent's face anyways, just makes way too much sense. When you're looking at the deck list too, and like realistically, what is the point of being this silly and playing only creatures? Literally just for fun. That's it, right? It's not like any of these cards are like, every time you play a creature, this gets a +1/+1 counter or something like that. You know, that would be pretty cool, but that would also be green. And this is red. Maybe we'll have to revisit this in some Gruul. That could be cool, actually, but I don't entirely know if Gruul would be fast enough. We went mono red here to be fast enough to not even worry about what the opponent's doing on their turn 4 and 5. Just swing, 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 swing. Get the opponent low enough to the point where they can't block Nemesis anymore or something, right? And one of the reasons I'm thinking about going down to 3 recruiters as well is because having 4 of each of these, they're really competing against each other as the 3-drop to play for the turn. And usually speaking, I would say Nemesis is the 3-drop to play for the turn. That doesn't mean we want 1 recruiter or 2. I still think we'd want the 3, but personally, I'm not going to change anything with the deck list. I'll tell you what, man, meta's been brutal against the deck list that I've been bringing to the table, especially. I bring a lot of creatures anyways. And when we're not up against a deck list that just has an infinite amount of spot removal or an infinite amount of board wipes, then we're up against deck lists that, by some miracle, are keeping up with the amount of creatures that we're also playing. And so it's been a little brutal. It's kind of hard to build around and play around successfully, but you guys let me know in the comments, how has your meta looked? What deck lists are you seeing the most? I always love to hear it and kind of hear. It always sounds like everyone's seeing a little bit of something different, so it's always interesting to me. Oh, 4 Searslicer Goblins, so worth it, dude. It's a really good card, and it makes a lot of sense in here. If you go down 3 recruiters, though, Searslicer Goblins, extra goblins might get a little weaker. But then also, if you go down to 3 recruiters, the Phoenix Trick might get a little weaker too. Swinging in the air is great and all, but swinging in the air after dropping a recruiter is actually really, really good. No, but also the 4 Phoenix Trick is still probably worth it. 1, the evasion's really good, getting around the chump blockers and whatnot. But also, how many of those games, if we had Phoenix Trick in the grave, would we have been able to successfully revive Phoenix Chick for double red, comes back as a 2/2 in the air? A lot. A lot of those games, I would say. But how often do we have double red open? Also, the Mishra's Foundry will sometimes get in the way of that double red. I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe there's a possibility where you drop a recruiter down to 3, drop a Phoenix chick down to 3, right? That's a lot of 3-ofs in here, but we're trying to pack a lot in general. Then that gives us 2 cards open. And again, being a little silly with the creature only, those 2 cards could be like Burst Lightning or something. Like, you don't have to just go creatures. Even though that's the soul of this current deck list, you're actually trying to get more victories. Couple Burst Lightning, couple Monstrous Rage. It's going to go the extra mile. Couple Monstrous Rage, especially for Rotisserie Elemental. I mean, even dropping a Monstrous Rage on a Phoenix chick, dude. A Monstrous Rage is just disgusting on so many levels. So yeah, that's something. But of course, I'm not going to be taking anything out to go up any Monstrous Rage, because when I post the video, it's creature only, dude. That's what we're going for. Right. I think that's it. Enough rambling, huh? If you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you. Yeah, almost an hour in. My goodness. Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, I forgot to bring this up in the last couple videos, guys. Oh, in the description, we have that Discord link as well as that Patreon link. And then also, if you liked the video, make sure you actually drop it a like. And if you enjoy the channel, then consider subscribing as well. It really does help out the channel. I can't believe I forgot to bring that up in yesterday's video too, didn't I? I'm not sure right now, but oh well. Either way, hey, I will see you in the next video.